is Tarik Talk. Your host, Tarik Mendes, takes you on a journey with guests from all around the world. Broadcasting around the world. Around the world. This is Tarik Talk.
All right, guys, today I'm here with Z-Chun. Z-Chun, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. We are with the Art on Paper Fair. This is an amazing booth. Can you tell us about the artists that you have in your booth, please?
Sure. So our gallery, Uprise Art, is a New York City gallery. We represent artists from all over the world. And at this fair, we are showing several artists, all working on paper, of course.
Yes.
To see the works, you can look at our Instagram, which is Uprise NYC. It's the handle, UPRISE NYC.
Thank you for spelling.
So right now, we're standing in front of work by Katrine Hildebrandt. She's a Boston-based artist, and she uses really volatile processes such as fire and water to create her works. So this work is not painted or drawn, but it's actually burned. So there's burned lines in paper. Sometimes her works go up in flames when she's working on them. So again, that kind of volatile material and process. Other works by her will use ink on paper, and the water spreads the ink in these unpredictable ways.
Yeah.
And it's really a balance between those volatile processes and the very structured patterns and what she calls sacred geometries in her work. We're also showing a printmaker, Laura Berman, who's based in Kansas City, Missouri. She takes her prints and then cuts them out into strips or various shapes and then collages those to create a unique work. So it's a unique work from many different unique works of monoprints.
And how many artists do you have in this booth right now?
We are showing 5 artists.
5 artists?
One of the artists is a Bay Area-based artist who created a special installation that is presented by the fair in collaboration with the Uprise Art Gallery. And the piece is perceived as a continuous scroll, and it has a interest in language and how language helps us understand meaning, how it can change our perception of meaning. The piece is part of the artist's series that uses color to code letters and other texts the artist has written, and no one knows what those texts are, but she takes a letter and assigns it a color and then kind of translates or codes that into a drawn painting.
And that was actually what grabbed my attention, with the embroidery on the top. And would you mind sharing your booth number so people can check you out?
Sure. We're booth G5 at Art on Paper.
And when was your gallery founded?
We were founded in 2011.
2011, okay,
so
cool.
13 years ago. We launched the gallery with 11 artists, and now we work with more than 150 artists.
Oh, nice.
We help people find art for their homes, the places where they work, and also for places where people gather.
Yeah.
So members clubs, hospitality.
Oh, nice.
Hospital groups. A really wide range of...
So you're quite busy.
Yes, very busy.
And is this your first time participating at the art fair?
The
art paper fair?
Our gallery has participated in Art on Paper, I think, for 7 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
With a break during COVID.
Oh, yes. Yeah. All right, perfect. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. Do you mind sharing your Instagram one more time for us?
Sure. Our Instagram handle is Uprise NYC.
Perfect. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Tarik Talk. Follow Tarik Talk on all social media channels and check out the video interviews online. This is Tarik Talk. Your host, Tarik Mendes, takes you on a journey with guests from all around the world. Broadcasting around the world. Around the world. This is Tarik Talk.
All right, guys. Today I'm here at Art on Paper Fair with Picture Gallery on booth F11. How are you today?
I'm very good. How
Thank
are
you
you?
so much. Good. Thank you so much for participating on the podcast. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your booth?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm Denise Jones-Adler, and this is Picture Gallery. We're a collective gallery in Chelsea, in the Fine Arts Building on 27th Street, 547 West 27th Street, Suite 204. And we are an artist-run gallery. We actually have 32 members. 15 or so are full members, so that means they get to do a group show during the year. And the rest are affiliate members, so we have 2 gallery spaces, so they get to be in 4 group shows during the year.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
And can you tell us when your gallery was founded?
Our gallery was founded in 2020. Actually, 2020, we started as an online gallery, and then we opened our physical space in May of 2021.
Oh, nice. Congrats.
Yeah.
And is this your first time being on the Art on Paper Fair?
It's our second year.
Second year?
Yeah.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah.
Do you know how many artists' work you have here? Like how many artists are displaying on the booth?
In this booth today, we have 14 artists.
14 artists?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
very nice. And these are all artists that are participants in the gallery, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And then would you mind telling us a little bit like how did you come to create the gallery? Like was there a demand for such a space?
A lot of us had been in cooperative galleries over the years, and so we decided, and it's difficult to be in a cooperative gallery, like you don't have a lot of voice, and you don't get a lot of support. So our model became, when we decided to do this, the model was to be more proactive and more interactive and have more control. So, and we wanted to do more with artistic overlaps. So we do salons. Part of our mission is to do salons. So we invite dancers, musicians, writers, actors to come and perform once a month in our space. So it's a great way for people to interact with the art, and also to have, sort of like that, the art interacting with the music, or the art interacting with the poetry, or actors acting around with art as their backdrop is like very inspiring.
I love
for
that.
everybody.
Yeah, for everybody. And are you an artist yourself?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. And are you just playing your work here at the booth?
Yes, absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about your work, and I'll make sure to share it on Instagram?
I am a mixed media collage artist.
Okay.
And that's one of my pieces over there.
Oh, wow.
It's called Goddesses Only Want to Have Fun.
Yeah.
Or Goddesses Just Want to Have Fun, excuse me. And it's was done in 2015. Basically, I work with torn paper, photographs, and I also paint and use garbage from the street.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And basically create, using mythology that we all sort of like, symbols and mythology that we all sort of know about, like snakes in the grass and stuff like that.
I love that.
Tell a story.
Love that. And how has it been for you being an artist to like now being the founder and running a gallery? Like how are you able to manage the two?
It's hard.
It's hard, yes, I can imagine.
It's a lot of work. I guess I really like to work.
Yeah.
Because I, it's like it drives me. I go to the studio when I can. My kids have told me recently that they think I'm ADHD.
Who isn't it these days, right?
So I am, sort of like always saying, "Oh, I got to do this," and it works with this particular life that I've put myself in.
Yeah, I love that.
So.
And how do ideas come to you? Because looking at your work, it's so creative. There's like such a wild imagination. How do ideas come to you?
Well, I'm inspired by, inspired and, freaked out by the news, and the news is that we all get bombarding us all the time. So I try to use all that stuff to that I'm processing, and we're all processing constantly, and make lemonade.
Oh, I love that.
So literally I take the newspapers and the magazines and tear them up and reposition them to tell a story that maybe is more interesting than the one that I'm getting.
Yeah, I like that.
And makes some positive news out of
And
negative.
What's your creative process like when you show up to the studio? Are you able to like get to work right away, or you need to like sit down, have a coffee, meditate a little bit?
Meditate a little bit. I listen to a large selection of like world music, so like Middle Eastern music, Japanese pop, raw African pop, and try to and different things kind of inspire me. So like and like all those. I'm into Jungian psychology and mythology and that kind of stuff. So I try to reprocess. I used to say that I wanted to create, like, we don't have a mythology these days. We kind of lost our mythology. We have comic books.
That's the closest, right? Yeah.
But that doesn't work for me. So this is my way of processing, and so I listen to that music, and it sort of inspires me.
Love that. Well, Denise, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. And just to share one more time, it's booth F11. And can you share the Instagram again for those listening?
Yes, it's at Picture Gallery NYC.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Denise.
Thank you for listening to Tarik Talk. Follow Tarik Talk on all social media channels and check out the video interviews online. This is Tarik Talk. Your host, Tarik Mendes, takes you on a journey with guests from all around the world. Broadcasting around the world. Around the world. This is Tarik Talk.
All right, guys. Today we are here at Art on Paper Fair with Jody Kerr. Jody, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
Awesome. Thank you for being on the podcast today. We are at booth G14.
Yes.
With Modern Earth Gallery.
Correct.
Congratulations. You have such a beautiful booth.
Thank you so much.
Do you mind sharing with us a little bit about the work you have in the booth right now?
Sure. Well, obviously the work is all on paper, but it is more of a mixed media format. So pieces obviously vary slightly, but they're a combination of acrylic paint, some soft pastels. Quite a few of the pieces have a crushed metallic element to them, which creates just this very subtle shimmer to the pieces. So I feel like that is something a little unique to the work that's here. Yeah,
I love that. I love that you said that, because that's exactly what happened. Like, it totally grabbed my attention because of that. And can you tell me a little bit about your creative process? Like, how do ideas come to you?
Sure. Well, a lot of people will ask that. They'll say, what is your inspiration?
Yeah.
And I think my inspiration is actually the materials themselves. So what can I get these materials to do? And I try to push the limits of what is like traditionally, expected. I also work multi-layered.
Okay.
So I will paint like a base layer of something, and I let that completely dry, and then I'll build on top of that. So it just creates a lot of dimension and depth to the pieces. The metallic
aspect to it is the final little frosting that goes on top that's very subtle and different.
I love that because looking at your work, I love that I'm not able to tell where you started and where you stopped. There's like so much dimension, as you mentioned, and so much mystery. And then can you tell us about your like process at the studio? Are you able to like get in the studio and get straight to work, or do you have to like have a coffee, like read a newspaper, get the vibes, or are you able to get to work right away?
Usually, I mean, I have to have my coffee. I know that's pretty much the beginning of every day, no matter what I do. But I have a pretty large studio. I'm just located north of Detroit.
Oh, nice.
And it's funny. I get really excited about just getting up in the morning and working. I like to work mostly in the morning. I just feel like it's a fresh start to the day. And like I said, I just start off really honestly with a mental mindset of play.
Oh, wow.
You know, just really like, let's discover, let's play with these materials and see what happens. And obviously every piece of art, I believe, has to have certain elements, whether you like it or not, to be considered a good piece of art. So from, like 10 feet away, it should kind of draw your attention. You should be like, oh, that's so interesting. But then as you get closer, you should find something in it that you couldn't see before that's sort of unexpected and surprises you, like a finer detail.
Love
or like
that.
In these cases, the metallic element. It's just kind of a little bit of a surprise as you come closer to the work.
Oh, wow. And how do you keep track of your ideas? Like, do you like write them down? Do you draw them? Or do you just do your paintings like spontaneous, like inspiration hits and you go for it?
Again, so this is I find it interesting because I really don't do any preliminary drawings or planning in advance. It's I work very much fluidly in the moment.
Very organic,
and yes, very organic. I don't mix any colors even in advance. A lot of people will ask me, like, do you mix a color palette ahead of time? I really don't. I mix all the colors directly on the canvas or the paper in real time. So I move rather quickly. I'm moving and positioning the pieces, turning the pieces, working with paint, things that are, it's just very fluid and fast. And then, like I said, I'll get to a certain point and then maybe I'll set it aside and I have fans and I'll dry a certain, level of it. And then I continue to build upon those, over multiple days until I find something that I think is
that's amazing,
really interesting. So. And
when you're working on something and it's not going like turning out the way you want it or visualize in your mind, are you able to like kind of step away from the studio, or are you an artist that you want to pursue it and keep going to that paint like the artwork is finished?
So such an interesting question, and what's funny is I feel like every artist grows and develops over time, right? And we all kind of have stumbling blocks or things like you said, like, oh, like you're working on something and it isn't going maybe in the way that you want, and sometimes people can get very frustrated. Well, I would say, as a newer artist, I used to very much find myself in that place where I'm like, oh, I've spent all this time and I'm not happy with it and I'm frustrated. But what I've discovered is actually much like your life. You have areas where times or periods of your time where maybe things are a little muddy. They're not as great as you hope they would be. But what I've discovered is that's your base layer. And oftentimes some of my best pieces come out of those pieces that I thought were just a mess that I wasn't going to use. And by allowing wherever that is where I felt like it wasn't working to completely dry and come back to it the next day and build on top of it, I find that turns out ironically to be the best base. So those muddy layers are great for contrast when you build color, other things on top of it, other elements, and it ends up becoming some of my best work. So now I look at it as though, instead of feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm so frustrated, this isn't working for me, I look at it as like, oh, this is just the beginning. This is just the base. And so there's nothing to be really frustrated about if you think about it as it's part of the process and it's just a layer. And, multi-layers get built on that.
I love that. That's so cool. And do you ever look back at some of your work and you like visually see like, wow, this makes so much sense because I was going through this and this in my life, and now I get it like much later on. Did you ever have a moment like that?
You know, it's interesting. I mean, yes, I will say yes, but ironically, like I said, because I don't plan and I don't necessarily draw or do studies, and I'm not intentional about like, oh, I want this to be a floral or I want this to be a landscape. Because I don't do that, it's not as obvious to me in the moment, but then when the pieces are completed, I often look at them and notice exactly what you're saying. I'll like, wow, that really portrays this transition that I feel like I'm experiencing in my own life, you know, that maybe it is a darker piece or, you know, something like that. And I'm like, wow, that kind of does reflect my mood right now, but I didn't start off with that intention. So it's just as fun for me as the artist, I feel like, that it is to the viewer, because it becomes a surprise even to me.
I love that.
And I also love, I mean, all my work is abstract in nature, which I feel like I should mention because obviously it's a podcast and people aren't really looking at it at the moment, but it is abstract. And, you know, I think one of the beautiful things about abstract art is that every viewer gets to interpret it for themselves. And so when you even purchase a piece, you purchase it because you've fallen in love with it, right? But when you have it in your home, every person that comes in gets to experience it for themselves. So it's like a gift to them as well.
Absolutely,
and a great conversation piece to say, like, what do you see in this? Or how does this impact you? And that's one of the reasons why I love doing the shows too, is you get everybody's feedback. And you see what they love about it. And it's so fun as an artist to get that feedback, whether, like I said, whether they buy or they don't buy. I just love to see, like, oh, this is so beautiful. I love this about it, or it makes me feel this way or that way. Like, that's a gift to receive as a creator. To realize that you're impacting someone in a special way.
Well, I love that, because that was actually going to be my next question, because some artists that I speak to, they don't like hearing feedback or talking to the observer, but they love seeing people observe the work or taking pictures. So it seems that you kind of want that input, that feedback, like what do they see, how it represents to them.
I mean, so even this slight metallic element that is in these pieces is a newer technique for me, and it's been great to just see people how they're drawn to it, and they love the subtlety of it and the mood that it creates. And so it's just special to me, I think, just to see, like, oh, I'm spending all this time, I'm working on these pieces, I'm putting so much of myself into it, but you don't know how it's going to be received. And to kind of come to a place where you have all these different people from ages, different walks of life, whatever it is, and to see that it's affecting people and they're drawn to it, and in a sea of all this beautiful art, that someone, you know, is drawn to come in and stop and take a look and spend a few minutes with you. I mean, I find that it's an honor, right? That there's something that you've decided to take your time
and you connect with it,
and have a conversation or ask a question. I mean, like I said, it has nothing to do for me with someone purchasing it in the end. I mean, yes, obviously that's great if somebody decides to purchase it, but I do really enjoy just seeing that somebody loves it. You know,
well, I love that. Thank you so much, Jody. It was a pleasure getting to know you and about your work. We are in booth G14. And would you mind sharing your Instagram one more time for the listeners?
Sure. It's Jody Kerr Art, so JodyKerrArt. It's just
perfect.
At Jody Kerr Art.
Perfect.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Tarik Talk. Follow Tarik Talk on all social media channels and check out the video interviews online.